What's up, guys? Kevin from California coming at you live from the studio. Studio being outside in the backyard. Now, today I want to make a video about the topic of not being so hard on yourself. Now, there's a saying that says you're your own worst critic, and that's so true. I mean, like, we look at other people and give so much support, but then when it comes to us, like, he starts to become like our biggest hater. And today I was getting down on myself, to be honest, and I just wanted to kind of think about things that I've been doing or am doing that I was dreamed of doing, years ago or since being a kid. You know, I remember I had always wanted I wanted to do YouTube. I remember like voicing that out like a lot about, let's see, maybe 3 years ago, and I never did it. I never started 3 years ago. Like when I kind of like first was like always telling people, I was like, man, I want to do YouTube. I want to do YouTube. I kept telling people, especially like girls too. I kept telling girls that I liked, but I was like, oh, I want to do YouTube. Kind of was like a little flex, but I never did it. And then looking back today, I'm like, I'm already like putting out videos, albeit whether they have a lot of views or not. Like, I'm still like, I did it. I I put something out. I have videos out, and I have more things out that I want to put out, and like content lined up that I want to do. And I think that's a big achievement in and of itself. You know, that's a problem we have is we often like, you know, move the goalposts farther and farther. You know, once we have like some sort of like achievement, we already like want to do the next big thing, and then it just never ends, right? So I just wanted to say, take some time, like really like think about like where you're at, and just like pat yourself on the back. Like it doesn't matter where you could be at in life, you're far more greater than the you that you were, I don't know, 5, 10 years ago. Even if you don't think so, even if you're just like, man, I'm still at this dead end job, or I'm still studying, or you know, life gives you so many lessons to learn whether you want to learn them or not. So think about like how you've grown in any aspect of yourself, whether that be like spiritually, physically, emotionally. Even if you can't see it physically, like tangibly, you can still know that things could have changed within you, within your personality. And I think that's something that we should all take a moment to reflect on and think about. The other thing I wanted to talk about is like the expectations, especially that come with like aging. And I think a lot of us have a little bit of somewhat unrealistic expectations, or maybe disappointments from our expectations. You know, like I was thinking earlier, I was like, man, like, for example, I was thinking earlier, like, man, I want to be, I've always wanted to be rich, I guess, and ever since I was a kid. And I'm just thinking, like, man, like, where am I with that? Like, Kevin, like, where's your bread at? Where's your bread at, Kevin? Broke boy. And I was just like being hard on myself. And I'm just like thinking, like, like Rome wasn't built in a day. And to be honest, like, I'm I suppose I have freedom in my life. And that's something that you can't buy. Like no price can be put on your freedom. You could be working like a very good job, making, close to six figures, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, you're stuck listening to a certain person having to be at a certain place at a certain time for 4 to 5 days out of the week. And I'm not knocking that. I'm not knocking that. But I'm just saying I've never felt more free than I have now. And there's challenges with that too, with like the freedom. You know, I like to tell people that school is easy, like going to the standard college route. Like a lot of people like get down on themselves and they say like, oh, I never went to college. Wish I could have gone to college, or like I took the easy way out and I didn't go to college. But honestly, I think college is somewhat of an easy route because you have everything mapped out for you. Even if you don't know what you want to do, you still go to classes and you still have at the end of the day, you still end up wanting to graduate. So you have like for at least like 4 years ish, you have a path laid out for you. And if you don't go that route, there is no path laid out for you. So you end up having the freedom and honestly the burden of having to choose your future for yourself. And I think that's something that is commendable. It's something that is worthwhile and noteworthy in the sense that you don't know the end goal, yet you're still pushing. You're still moving forward despite knowing the ending. And I think that takes a lot of courage. And in the journey, that's really what it's about. It's about the journey, not always the end goal. Because once you get to an end goal, then it's short lived and you ask yourself, well, now what? You know? Let's say I could snap my fingers and just like turn my dreams into reality. Like let's say I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna snap my fingers and then boom, like a mansion. I'm in a mansion and you know, and I never have to work a day in my life or whatever. Like I have that luxurious lifestyle. Life doesn't just end. Life doesn't just be like, all right, game over, you won, Kevin, congrats. Then you're just like, well, now what do I do? That's why a lot of people who like end up retiring end up coming out of retirement in some like way, shape, or form. There's always a then. Now what? Like a what's next? That's why I think it's important to just really like stop and smell the roses and enjoy even the difficult and uncomfortable parts of your journey. And then like, you know what? That's what makes a story so great at the end of the day. Like, like you have someone's success story and yeah, like boom, they made it successful, but how much more it's inspiring it is when they share their story of like telling people like, oh yeah, I had to, I had to do this, I had to do that, right? Like I had to wake up at the break of dawn, go to work, take the bus and grind and on the side pursue my dreams until one day kept doing that for years, and then I end up losing my job. And they just tell like a fascinating story, and then at the end of it they tell you like, and now here I am. And that inspires so much, so many other people to pursue what they want to do, to encourage others that are in their struggle to keep pushing, that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Jesus says, like, the one that's saved is the one that perseveres to the end. It's true. Like, it's not over till it's over, and you just have to play the game until it is over. And that's why I urge people, and to urge myself, to live without regrets and to take risks and take chances and to do things that you may never have a chance to do, or to go down the path that maybe isn't so safe or easy. Yeah, for example, me in my case, yeah, I could have stayed in school. I could have continued studying electrical engineering. I could have, had a job, continue working. But then, what's at the end of that? Like, looking back at, I think about, if I kept going that route, let's, fast forward, 40, 50 years in the future, and then I retire from my job. And then I'm, fast forward some more, maybe I'm on my deathbed or something, and I'm, looking back on my life, and I'm thinking, well, what did I accomplish? Or, what was it that... What were all those dreams that I put to the side because I wanted to take it the safe route instead? And then I die with, so much regret. But, that's what even if I fail, even if I don't do what it is, everything that I end up achieving, at least I can say I tried. At least I can say I tried. I gave it everything. There was no excuse. And you know what, to be honest, life is really fun. Although, yeah, there's your dark moments and whatnot, but looking back, right now, thinking about it, I'm like, man, life is fun. On this adventure of not knowing what's gonna happen, because so many memories and unexpected happy surprises, with people that I meet, things that happen, and it's just amazing, the process, trusting in the process, trusting in God, that if you just keep showing up one day at a time, you get closer to your dreams. So don't give up. Keep chasing your dreams. Don't be so hard on yourself. That being said, have a good one. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Once again, I'm going to say that for those of you in the back. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening to me.